My name is Olivia West, and I live in a small blue house on Elwood Street in Boston, United States of America. The house is modest, nothing fancy, but it is mine. I bought it with years of careful work, late nights at the office, double shifts in the hospital cafeteria when I was younger, and endless quiet meals at my desk when everyone else went out. Every brick of it feels like it was laid with my sweat, my tired hands, and my patience. The porch leans a little to the left, though I've promised myself a dozen times that I'll hire someone to fix it. On windy nights, the tall maple tree beside my window scratches its branches against the glass, and though some might find the sound eerie, I find it comforting. It reminds me that my house stands steady in every storm, the same way I've tried to stand steady in life. When I signed the deed, I remember staring at the numbers, $250,000 in total, and thinking about every single dollar bill I had tucked away to reach that point. My savings were my pride, not because they were large, but because they were hard-earned. I had a habit of counting everything. The $5 I saved by cooking at home, the £10 note I once kept from a temporary job I worked during a short stay in London. I kept all my records in a red folder, the kind that snaps shut so no paper slips out. That folder sat in the drawer by my desk, a symbol of both my discipline and my peace. My brother, Liam West, could not have been more different from me. Liam was bold where I was cautious, reckless where I was careful. He loved bright things, fast cars, loud friends, weekends in Miami, and late-night parties in New York. He always wanted to be seen, to be remembered, to be the star in every room. He called my quiet life boring. He said my blue house looked like it belonged in a picture book rather than real life. And perhaps, in some ways, he was right. I never reached for more than what I could hold in my hands. But Liam always wanted more than what his hands could carry. When he met Victoria Hart in Chicago, I thought for a brief moment that he might slow down. He introduced her as the love of his life, a woman of wealth and power. They spoke of her as if she were a dream made real. He said she had friends all across America and family homes scattered through Europe. He said she was born to sparkle, his exact words, and his voice carried a kind of awe I had never heard before. Victoria was tall, always dressed as though she had just stepped out of a glossy magazine cover, and she had a smile that made men turn their heads in restaurants. To Liam, she was proof that he belonged in the world of the wealthy, not in the world of modest homes and hard work. I wanted to believe him, but something in me stayed cautious. Perhaps it was because Liam had never cared much for truth. He cared for appearances. Or perhaps it was because Victoria's eyes seemed to wander even while she smiled. But I said nothing. I only reminded Liam to be wise, though wisdom was never his strong suit. One quiet night, while balancing my accounts, I noticed a mistake. At first, I thought it was small numbers that didn't add up, a missing note, something I had overlooked. But as I dug deeper, my stomach grew cold. The red folder felt lighter than it should. I compared old statements to new ones, page after page. That's when I saw it. Liam had taken $2,500,000 from the trust fund I had carefully built and protected. $2.5 million gone. It was more than just a missing number. It was betrayal written in ink across my life's work. I confronted him immediately, my voice trembling as I demanded to know where the money had gone. Instead of answering me with shame or remorse, Liam sent me a voice message that played like a cruel performance. His words were sharp, echoing in the silence of my kitchen. "After we get married, I will slap every penny on your face." And then he laughed. The kind of laugh that makes your chest feel hollow because it doesn't belong to the brother you knew. It belongs to a stranger who delights in your pain. I sat on the porch of my blue house that night, the phone heavy in my hand. The stars above Boston blinked faintly, and the maple tree rustled against the window as if it were whispering warnings I had been too blind to see. I played the message again and again, hoping I had misunderstood, but there was no mistake. Liam had stolen from me, not a little, not a sum that could be forgiven as careless, but millions of dollars, my future, my security, my pride. He had stolen it not because he was desperate, but because he wanted to show off to a woman who, in truth, cared more for diamonds and glitter than for him. The diamond watch was proof. A cold, dazzling piece that cost $150,000, strapped to his wrist like a trophy. He showed it off as though it had made him a king, when in fact it had been bought with blood, my sweat, my years of sacrifice. And alongside it, he booked a grand wedding in Manhattan, the kind of event you see in magazines: chandeliers, a hall full of gold and glass, champagne fountains, and a guest list filled with people who barely knew him. He wanted to stand on that stage with Victoria and shine so brightly that no one would ever call him ordinary again. But sitting there on my porch, with the chill of the night wrapping around me, I felt something stir inside me that I had not felt in years. It was not anger alone. It was resolved. Liam thought I was quiet, small, someone who would stay silent in the shadows. But he had forgotten that the same patience that saved every dollar, that built the blue house, that kept the red folder neat and tidy, that same patience could turn into strength when betrayed. I decided, in that moment, that I would not be quiet. I would not sit in the corner while he laughed at me in front of strangers, while he used my money to build his castle of lies. I would speak the truth, even if my voice shook. The maple leaves above me whispered in the wind, and I felt as though the house itself, the house I had built with honesty, was reminding me of who I was. The porch may lean, the paint may chip, but my house stands. And so do I. The wedding plans moved faster than I could have imagined. One moment, Liam was just flashing a diamond watch at me like a weapon, and the next, Victoria was posting photographs of herself from a penthouse in New York. The pictures looked staged, each angle chosen to impress, as though she had memorized the art of appearing wealthy without ever truly being so. In every frame, she wore silk gowns that floated around her like clouds, and on Liam's wrist gleamed the watch I had unwillingly bought him. He posed beside her with a boyish grin, the kind of grin I remembered from when he was a child and had just discovered some forbidden treasure. To the world, they looked like a glamorous couple on their way to a life of glitter and endless champagne. To me, it looked like a performance built on stolen money. I tried to ask Liam the questions anyone with sense would ask. Where does she work? I asked him on the phone one night. His reply was sharp, dismissive. You're always so negative, Olivia. Why can't you be happy for me? Another time, I asked, why did you touch my accounts? His answer was silence, followed by a sigh, and then a quick change of subject. He did not want me poking holes in the fabric of his dream, because dreams only shine if no one looks too closely at the stitching. I could not rest, though. My blue house, with its leaning porch and tapping maple tree, no longer felt like a place of safety when I thought about how close I had come to losing everything. I decided I had to know the truth about Victoria Hart. I reached out to friends, pulling on old ties and calling in favors I had not asked for in years. My first call was to Barbara Grant, a friend from college who now worked for a small paper in Philadelphia. Barbara was sharp, with a nose for stories, and she promised to look into Victoria with the kind of curiosity that only a journalist could have. Next, I contacted Henry Brooks, an accountant in Los Angeles who had known Liam in college. Henry had always been level-headed, the opposite of Liam, and I trusted that his memory might help me. Liam never cared about money in the sense of building it, Henry told me over the phone. He cared about what it could buy. The show of it, the flash. If he's with a woman who pushes that side of him, I'd be careful. His words tightened the knot in my stomach because I already knew he was right. Finally, I wrote to Sarah King, a lawyer in Boston who had once helped me secure my house. Sarah was methodical, cautious, and honest, everything I wanted on my side. I asked her to help me check records, leases, and financial trails. If Victoria were truly rich, it would show. If she were pretending, that would show too. Sarah agreed to help, and within a week, she had answers that painted a picture Liam refused to see. Piece by piece, a pattern began to form, and it was not the pattern of wealth. Victoria had no permanent home in New York. The penthouse she showed off in her photographs was not owned by her. It was rented by the week. She moved from city to city, like a shadow that never left a trace, living on appearances and charm. And worse, she had a trail of men scattered across America, Cleveland, Dallas, Seattle. Men who had once been dazzled by her, just as Liam was now. I spoke to two of them myself. The first was James Carter, a man from Dallas whose voice trembled even years later when he described what had happened. She told me she wanted to invest in a company, he explained. Said we'd take trips to Europe, buy property, live the life people dream of. I gave her £40,000 to start, thinking it was love and business at the same time. Then she disappeared. The company didn't exist. And when I tried to find her, all I saw were pictures of her with someone else. The second was Peter Lane, from Seattle. He was quieter, older, and more resigned. She keeps men the way others keep playing cards, he said. She plays one, then puts it back in the deck, ready to use again. When I met her, I thought I was the only one. Later, I found out I was just one of many. His words sat heavily on my chest because I knew Liam thought he was special. He thought he was the one she had chosen, when in truth, he was just the next card in her hand. It became painfully clear. Victoria was not rich. She was not powerful. She was not what she claimed to be. She was a trickster, skilled at weaving stories that pulled men into her orbit. She knew how to shine just enough to make others believe she was the sun, when in reality, she was only reflecting the light of what she took from others. Liam did not see this. Or perhaps he refused to see it. He looked at the diamond watch and saw success. He looked at her smile and saw love. He looked at the guest list for the wedding and saw the status. He never looked at the bill. I gathered the evidence carefully, as I always did. Copies of rental leases that showed Victoria's fleeting stays, bank letters that proved debts she had left behind, sworn statements from James Carter and Peter Lane, and screenshots of messages she had sent to others, promising to repay them once the big money lands. Each piece was a thread, and together they formed a net of truth. I placed them in my red folder, the same folder that had once held my records of saving, and this time the papers felt heavy with purpose. But I did not stop there. I made 3 more copies of the folder, each neatly organized, each sealed and labeled. One I placed in my kitchen drawer, under the tea towels, where no one would think to look. Another I gave to Sarah King, in case anything happened to me or the originals. The third I stored in a safe at the bank. I knew Liam would not believe me now, but I also knew the day would come when the truth would matter. And when it did, I would be ready. That night, I sat at my desk with the red folder closed in front of me. The maple tree tapped against the window, steady and insistent, as if reminding me that lies may grow quickly, but truth, like a tree, takes root. I whispered to myself, he will see one day. And though my heart ached for my brother, I knew I could not save him from his choices. All I could do was guard the truth until he was ready to face it. The morning of the wedding dawned bright and heavy with summer heat in New York City. The sky was cloudless, blue like polished glass, and the streets seemed louder than usual, as if the whole city knew something was about to happen. I arrived early at the hall, clutching my red folder in a plain black handbag. My dress was simple, navy blue, with sleeves that fell to my elbows. I did not come to dazzle or to blend. I came to tell the truth, though I did not yet know when or how the moment would arrive. The venue was a cathedral of glass and gold, a space designed to make anyone who walked inside feel small. Chandeliers hung like glowing trees overhead, spilling warm light across the marble floors. White roses bloomed in tall vases, lining the aisles. A band played softly in the corner, each note of their strings like silk in the air. Waiters glided past with trays of champagne, and guests in glittering gowns and sharp tuxedos moved as though this were the center of the world. Liam stood at the front, beaming, his tuxedo pressed and perfect. He looked like a man who believed he had won. The diamond watch shone under the lights, a small but constant reminder of what he had taken from me. His smile was wide, boyish even, but when he glanced my way, I saw something darker in his eyes, a smirk, a challenge, the kind of look that said he thought he had beaten me at my own game. Victoria stood beside him in her gown, white and heavy with crystals that caught every flicker of light. She looked like she had walked out of a fairy tale, her dark hair swept up, her lips painted the faintest red. To anyone else, she was radiant. To me, She was an illusion woven from lies. The ceremony moved quickly. Vows were exchanged with practiced charm, and rings slid onto fingers. Every word was a performance, every smile a pose. When it ended, applause filled the hall like thunder. Then came the time for toasts. Liam was the first to take the microphone. He laughed as though the whole room belonged to him. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, "today I stand beside the love of my life, the most beautiful, most brilliant woman in the world, Victoria Hart." The crowd clapped. He raised his wrist, showing off the diamond watch like it was a badge of honor. "And thanks to her, I finally feel like the man I was meant to be." His eyes met mine across the room. The smirk returned, sharper this time. Some people spend their lives saving pennies. Others take a chance on love and end up with everything. Laughter rolled through the crowd. My chest burned. He was mocking me in front of strangers, mocking my savings, my house, my life. He finished with another laugh, passed the mic back, and basked in the applause. The band swelled. Glasses clinked. Victoria leaned against him, glowing with pride. For a moment, I considered staying silent, swallowing the truth to keep the peace. But the memory of that voice message echoed in my ears. "After we get married, I will slap every penny on your face." His words had cut me then, and now they cut again. I stood. "May I speak?" I asked, my voice steady but low. The room stilled. Heads turned. Liam's smirk faltered just slightly, though he tried to hide it. The master of ceremonies hesitated, then nodded. I walked to the front, each step echoing against the marble floor. I took the microphone into my hands. It felt heavy, like it carried the weight of everything unsaid. "My name is Olivia West," I began. My voice carried through the speakers, clear and firm. "I am the sister of the groom. I love my brother, but I cannot stay silent today. I must tell the truth." A ripple went through the guests, whispers rising like wind before a storm. I opened my handbag and lifted the red folder. This folder contains the record of $2,500,000 stolen from me, taken by fraud, by manipulation. My brother, the man you are clapping for, used that money to buy this diamond watch for $150,000. He used it to book this hall, these flowers, this spectacle. My hands did not shake. My voice did not break. I felt taller than I ever had before. Murmurs filled the room. Some guests leaned forward, others pulled back. Liam's face paled, his smile shrinking by the second. But the truth does not end there. I continued. This woman, Victoria Hart, is not what she claims to be. She is not rich. She is not powerful. She has no penthouse of her own. She rents by the week. She moves from city to city, leaving debts behind. She has tricked men from Cleveland, Dallas, Seattle, men who believed her lies, just as my brother has. She promised them riches, trips to Europe, a life of glory. But she left them empty, poorer, broken. I pulled out papers, holding them up. I have sworn statements. I have bank records. I have proof. This woman is a trickster, a top-notch deceiver, a womanizer in her own right. And she has trapped my brother, blinded him with false promises, so she might use him to climb higher. The room made a sound then, sharp and collective, like a glass cracking. The band stopped mid-note. The champagne in glasses went untouched. Victoria's face hardened, her eyes narrowing to cold steel. Liam's smile collapsed entirely. He looked at me with disbelief, horror, and anger, all tangled together. And then I played the voice message. I had connected my phone to the hall's speakers beforehand, in case courage found me. The sound was loud and merciless. Liam's voice filled the room. "After we get married, I will slap every penny on your face." His laugh followed, hollow and cruel, the kind of laugh that strips the air from your lungs. When it ended, silence swallowed the hall. Not a single clap, not a single laugh. People stared, wide-eyed, at Liam, at Victoria, at me. Liam looked at the floor as if it might open and swallow him whole. Victoria looked for a door, her hand tightening on her gown as though ready to run. I stood there, holding the microphone, my red folder open beside me, my heart steady. For years, I had been quiet, patient, the woman in the small blue house counting her dollars. But in that moment, in that hall of glass and gold, I was louder than the chandeliers, stronger than the marble, and brighter than all their lies combined. By the time the wedding guests began to leave, the hall no longer glowed with the same golden light it had held hours earlier. The chandeliers still sparkled, but their shine felt hollow, like a smile that doesn't reach the eyes. People moved quietly now, slipping into coats, gathering their things, whispering in clusters as though afraid to disturb a fragile silence. Some left early without saying goodbye, others lingered near the corners, trading murmurs of disbelief about what they had just witnessed. I stood near the coat check, my red folder tucked firmly under my arm. My heart was calm, though a part of me still trembled with the weight of what I had done. It was not easy to expose your own brother in front of a room full of strangers. Yet I knew it had been necessary. Lies, left unchecked, grow like vines. Tonight, I had cut them before they strangled us both. Liam found me there, away from the main crowd. His face was pale, his eyes ringed with shadows that had not been there in the morning. The confident man in the tuxedo, the one who had mocked me in front of hundreds, was gone. What stood before me was my brother stripped of pride. "I'm sorry," he said. His voice cracked on the second word. "I didn't see it. I wanted the life she promised." He paused, swallowing hard, his hands shaking slightly. "I thought she loved me. I thought if I just showed her, I could give her everything, then maybe I'd finally be enough." The words pierced me, but they did not erase the truth. "You didn't just chase a dream, Liam," I told him softly. "You stole from me. You took what I worked for, what I built with years of sacrifice. Wanting more isn't a crime, but what you did to me, that was." Tears filled his eyes. "I felt sick when I heard you speak. Sick because you were right. Sick because I laughed at you. I love you, Olivia. I'll make it right." I looked at him for a long time. My brother, my only family left, is standing broken in a hall of shattered illusions. A part of me wanted to reach for him, to pull him back into the safety of forgiveness. But another part of me, the part that had counted every dollar, built the blue house, guarded the red folder, knew forgiveness was not the same as forgetting. "I can't walk with you if you choose greed," I said at last. "Love is not enough when trust is gone." My words were not cruel, though they made him flinch. They were steady, like the tapping of the maple tree against my window. In the weeks that followed, the glitter of the wedding dissolved into gray reality. Lawyers became my shield and my sword. With Sarah King's guidance, I pressed charges for fraud and demanded restitution. The process was slow, as courts always are, but it was steady. The banks responded to her letters, the accounts were examined, and the transactions traced. Piece by piece, what Liam had taken began to return. The diamond watch was sold back for $120,000, less than its purchase price, but enough to sting him with the truth that glitter fades quickly. The venue, once a place of grandeur, became a reminder of debts owed, its bills folded into the mountain of evidence against him. By the end of it all, every dollar I could prove stolen was placed back in my hands. It was not just money that returned to me. It was something deeper. The knowledge that the system, slow though it may be, can deliver truth when you fight for it. The halls of law were not lined with gold or roses, but with gray walls and tired clerks. Yet they were honest, and that honesty mattered more to me than any chandelier. Liam came to me again during that time, more than once. Sometimes he begged for forgiveness, sometimes he promised to change, sometimes he simply sat in silence, as if hoping my heart would soften. Each time, I told him the same thing: "I cannot stand beside you until you learn to stand without lies." He cried, and I cried too, but I kept my line. Love and trust had become separate houses, and only one of them had a door open to him. When the legal battles were over, I returned home to my blue house in Boston. It was early autumn by then. The porch rail had begun to sag more heavily, so I finally fixed it, steadying the wood with new nails and fresh paint. The maple tree dropped red leaves onto the yard, covering it in fire-colored carpets. Inside, I brewed tea, the steam curling into the air like a ribbon of peace. On my desk sat the red folder, now thicker than ever with papers, letters, court orders, and receipts. I opened it one last time, drew a fresh sheet of paper, and wrote a single note in my neat handwriting. Truth told. Money returned. Line drawn. I slipped it into the front pocket and closed the folder. Then I placed it in the kitchen drawer beneath the tea towels, where it had always belonged. Some nights, I drive to the coast, park my car, and watch the waves crash against the shore. The ocean is vast, restless, full of secrets, and yet it never pretends to be anything other than what it is. Looking out at the water, I think about the cities I passed through during the story: New York, Chicago, Los Angeles. Places where dreams burn bright, but also where lies grow quickly, hidden under the lights. I think about Europe too, far across the sea, where people chase the same sparkle and stumble in the same shadows. What I learned through it all is simple. Shine is not strength. A diamond watch cannot buy loyalty. A rented penthouse cannot be built into a home. A laugh at someone's expense is not victory. It is a warning. If someone mocks you while they take from you, believe the laugh. It reveals more truth than their words ever will. Now, when I return home to my small house on Elwood Street, I feel peace again. The porch light glows softly in the evening, the maple tree taps against my window, and I sleep knowing the truth lives here with me. My brother's path is no longer mine to guide. My heart holds love for him still, but my hands no longer carry his weight. My name is Olivia West. I live in America. I keep my porch light on. And when the wind shakes the branches and the leaves whisper against the glass, I know I am safe, because I chose truth over silence. And that choice, more than money or sparkle or applause, is what lets me rest easy.